All right, here we go. It is, what is it? It's April 24th. We're just about out of runway in April. I think our next call will be May. So anyway, hey, I see Ian is back. That's been a long reprieve. All right, we got some new folks back in the program. I know there was like three or four that were long timers that decided to make the comeback this week. So welcome back to all of you. And let's see. So I've been working on some really cool stuff with AI this last week, and you guys might have seen this last week. Did I show you the clone that I did of myself?
Mhm.
So I actually improved upon that because I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the voice. And when I showed it to some people, are like, yeah, it's kind of like you, but the voice wasn't that great. And so anyway, what I did, 11 Labs is like the gold standard for voice cloning. And what I didn't realize was to create a voice clone, you have to do 2 hours of your voice. And you can do less, but they recommend if you want a really good voice clone, you got to do 2 hours. So I'm thinking, yeah, well, I don't want to sit there and just talk to the thing for 2 hours. So what I did, I went back to the last few sessions that we did here, and I had to put it into Camtasia and cut out everyone else's voices, which was kind of a pain in the ass, but it was better than me going through and just, talking for 2 hours. So I uploaded that, and I'm a lot happier with the voice clone out of 11 Labs. I mean, it's not perfect. They never are absolutely perfect, but it's pretty damn good. And then I took a different photo, one that didn't have my hands in it, because the last one, and I used Hedra. The last one I made was using Hedra, and Hedra is kind of cool because it's all in one. You can upload your image, you can get it to do a voice clone, but like you saw, it wasn't great. My head was doing all kinds of weird actions as I was talking, and the hands were doing all kind of weird stuff. So
You mean like when it looked like you were like choking on a cotton ball?
yeah, exactly. There was some strange stuff going on with that. But anyway, I can show you guys. Let me share the screen and I'll show you the new one. And this was using a combination of 11 labs for the voice. And then I did the animation, the lip sync with D-ID, which was the same program I originally used to animate Becky. When I first brought Becky out, I used D-ID. So I will share this. Let's see. I have to do the sound option too, so you can hear it. And here's our new guy. This is my new stunt man, my body double. Hi, I'm John Limbacher. Well, actually, I'm an AI assistant that John made in his likeness. He created me to teach you some really important stuff while he is out enjoying himself on his boat. He'll tell you that he is lazy, but all evidence to the contrary. The truth is, he values his time and embodies freedom to the core. He works hard to automate every aspect of work in the pursuit of that freedom. So I'm here to deliver his message to you. Get ready because over the next month or so, I will be delivering you some absolute gold. Every time you get an email from John, you should open it because it will probably be me giving you another golden nugget. Yes, these nuggets are sure to make you more money if you use them. Many are actionable buying triggers that you can use immediately. Here we go. Lock in and listen up because this is some shit you absolutely need to know. If I handed you $100, you'd be like, oh, cool. But if I reached into your pocket to swipe 100, you'd be ready to go to war, right? That's loss aversion. plain and simple. Ain't just some fancy psychology term, it's just survival. Your brain, it's wired to fear losing something twice as much as gaining it. Seriously, people will fight like hell not to lose what they have, yet they'll turn up their nose at getting something new or better. Why do you think insurance sells? Why do refunds matter? Why does FOMO, that fear of missing out, make people do stupid shit? Now, most folks out there are selling the promise of gain. Wrong. If you want to get people moving, don't show them what they could get. Show them what they're about to lose. This is the secret sauce behind every offer that forces you to make a decision. Only 2 spots left. Last day to save your ass. You're going to miss this forever, you dumbass. See, that isn't just scarcity. That's the fear of losing out. If you want them to join your program, don't just tell them what they'll learn. Tell them they're already falling behind. Every day they wait, their competition is kicking their ass. If you want someone to reply to your message, don't be a wimp and say, let me know what you think. Say, if I don't hear from you today, I'll assume you've passed. Clean, cold, and it works. You don't need to be aggressive. Just frame it like this. This ain't about what you might get. This is about what you're about to lose if you walk away. Watch what happens. I'm telling you, this might be simple, but it's powerful. And here's another mind twist. How to control reality without changing a thing. You don't offer more. You just change what they compare it to. It's called anchoring bias. And it's how you sell a $1,000 offer like it's practically free. Think about that for a minute and let it sink in, because that's what you are going to learn next. What do you guys think about that? Any comments? Did it look like me? Did it
Wow.
sound like me?
You didn't let it finish, John. I'm taking notes.
Now,
I got to see the whole thing, guys. It's good.
now the script wasn't AI. I actually wrote the script based on a buying trigger. And I spent the last week like doing buying triggers. And I think I've got like 20 of them. So I can basically feed this guy 20 of these things and have 20 videos and then string them out in an automated sequence. So if somebody opts in, I'll have, if I would do them one a week, I'll have 20 weeks of content of really powerful little nuggets like that.
There was a little bit of a glitch at one point in there. The voice is better because you played it for Craig.
Yeah.
And I think it was the old version, right?
Yeah, that was the old one. This
Yeah,
one literally just finished this morning.
This is much more like you, but there was a little glitchy things.
Yeah.
At least one I noticed.
There was one,
Maybe not more.
and there was, I mean, just a few times where if you didn't know you may not notice it as much, but the lips kind of still move whenever it's paused or whatever. But I think that's the AI battle that everybody's facing. But that was a lot better than the one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they're getting really good. But there's so many people that don't like to do the short videos. And like for me, I I have a lot of trouble like focusing on multiple things at the same time. So for me to read a script would be an absolute disaster. I do well following a PowerPoint, but if I'm trying to read a script and pay attention to everything, that's just an absolute disaster for me. So this is perfect because I can script out the words exactly the way I want them. And then I don't have to worry about remembering all that stuff, keeping it in order. It's a whole different game. So creating really powerful messaging, I think this is the way to go. So especially like we just had a guy write a sales script for a video sales letter. And I'm sitting here going, this thing's 45 pages long and I'm going to have to read this thing. So I think I just got the answer to my problem right there. I can feed that script in and let my body double take the hits. And hey, it might not be perfect, but I think it's probably good enough. And I think it would certainly be better than if I try and read it and look like a buffoon doing it. It's that or I memorize the script and, just do it off the cuff. So, but I like the idea that like when you're copywriting, the words and sequence that you're crafting is really important, especially if you're trying to engineer it. And that's really hard to do from memory. If you've got a whole presentation that's a half hour or 45 minutes long, unless you're really good, you're never going to remember everything and you're going to miss stuff. So the idea of being able to precisionally engineer all of the copy for a presentation, to me, that's really powerful. That is like super powerful. So, Jill, you got your hand up there?
Hi, I had a quick question. So I did I made the Becky, but
Mhm.
so now I have all the text. So how do I create the animation?
So I did it in a program called D-ID. The first one that you might have saw was it was Hedra, Hedra, hedra.com. And that program was the one I used that you guys saw the first version of this. I wasn't real happy with it. The voice clone was shoddy at best, and the animation was pretty horrible. So I went to 11 Labs to create the voice. So now I've got a voice clone of my voice in there. So I can literally paste any script in and hit go, and it will generate a voice file for me. Then you can go over to D-ID, and when you create an avatar, it asks you basically for two things. There's two things required. One is the image or the video that you want to animate, and I just used a still image. And the other is the script or the voice file. You can choose if you want to put in text and choose a voice. They have a ton of different voices in there. Or you can actually upload a actual voice file, which is what I did. I generated the voice file with 11 Labs. And then when I went to D-ID, I just selected my image, uploaded my voice file, and hit generate.
Okay. And do
And
all those programs cost fee? They have fees?
yes, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, they're all credit based. So depending on how long your stuff is, it's going to chew up more credits. Most of the really quality AI stuff runs on credits
Okay.
because the image generation and video generation and even the voice file generation, it chews up a lot of API credits.
Okay. So that's outside of the suite.
Yes, yeah, that is not part of the only thing that I made in Quantum for this was the actual image. I used the precision image,
Yeah,
and I've been having a ball with that, creating
me
all
too.
kinds of images, and it's really cool. You upload 8 images of yourself or whoever you want to clone, and from there it basically builds a model. And then once you have the model, you can go in to generate image, and you basically just tell it what image you want with what model. And you can do it for people, you can also do it for products. Like if you have a particular product that you're selling, just take 8 photos of it, different angles, upload it in there and create an image model. And then you can say, I want a shot of this product sitting on a table under a waterfall in the Himalayas, and
Hmm.
it'll do it. It's like incredible for the money savings of doing photo shoots. Like if you're a product photographer, this would be an absolute dream come true. because you could do, all these exotic location photos of products for clients at almost no cost. It costs you $6 to create the image model. And then once it's created, you can make as many images as you want. You just go in and tell it, what you want. I can have myself, and under the backdrop of the Tahiti Mountains, or the Himalayas, or anywhere I want to be, the pyramids in Egypt. And
That's
it will
awesome.
it will plunk me in there. And if I want to be wearing a tuxedo and in a sunset, or there's no limit to your imagination to what you can do with that.
Um, the other thing, two more things. When I was working on the website, I went in and I took all the text out of there. So I have this abundant amount of text to give you. So I should
Okay.
probably decipher what's needed and what's not. And then two last things. Applying other apps to other apps, like editing the proposal. I can punch in like my family website and then it gives me a proposal. But how do I go in and edit each page? Or can I not?
Well, once we get the website up, I'm going to give you a run through on how to edit. So all
Well,
I
no,
need,
I mean just editing the proposal, like the when you I moved too quick. I apologize. That was one thing, but and the proposal app where you can punch in whatever you want, and then it gives you a full 10-page proposal on your business. But can you go in page to page and edit it,
oh yeah, you can just copy that into a Word document.
copy it into a okay,
Yeah, just copy, you could do like a Control A to select all, and
okay,
then you can copy it, paste it in there, and then you could do all your editing that you want right there.
okay? Because I started paying for Gamma too, and
Okay.
I've been editing there.
Okay. Yeah, Gamma is really cool. Everybody's asked me, can you make a PowerPoint presentation maker inside of Quantum? And I'm like, no, that's outside the scope of a GPT.
Mhm.
All of the tools inside Quantum, they're GPT tools. So anything that can be done with a GPT, we can do in a Quantum tool. But that's a very advanced, Gamma is a very advanced program that it does all kinds of AI generation behind the scene to do what it's doing. It's not just a simple GPT. So I'm like, there's already a tool. I mean, the short of it is, yeah, I could create that and I could plug it in there, but the cost of it, nobody's going to want to pay for that production cost when
Yeah,
it's already available, and Gamma is really inexpensive anyway. So
like $10 a month.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
you
it's all
can
about,
take your stuff. Like I was looking at like 3D benefits and like some of the stuff. So I can take those words, copy paste them, and use them in other apps, like image apps.
Mhm.
Like I was creating jingles. I actually used one of the jingles and printed it on a tote bag that I'm going to carry around the show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's pretty
It's
cool.
it's really cool. And if you want to do like extensive stuff, I haven't built the really extensive tools into Quantum yet. And what I mean by an extensive tool is a tool that would make like a whole video sales letter for you.
Mhm.
Because it would take all the other pieces to feed it to really do that successfully. So at some point here, probably pretty soon. I just got so many plates I'm spinning right now. It's kind of out of control. So I'm very careful on the promises I'm making because I know I got a lot of stuff to clean up and finish before I start new ones. But that's one of the things is you can take all those other modules and push them all together into one file, and basically that's like a source file. So that's a knowledge base. And then you can load a knowledge base in, and then you can have the AI that's doing whatever it's doing for you now reference that knowledge base. So it's really cool. That's kind of how the AI assistants work. When you put one of the AI chatbot assistants on your website, you give it a knowledge base for what you want it to know so it can answer questions on your behalf. So you create a massive PDF document of all the stuff that you know and the ways that you want questions answered, Q&As, all that stuff, and you feed it up in there. So when somebody comes to use your bot, it knows how to answer them. You can also restrict it to not answer outside of the knowledge base. So if somebody asks something that it doesn't know, it can't reference it in the knowledge base, you can have it go outside or not. And if it goes outside, you're allowing it to just go use an open AI through an API key to find the answer and give it to them. You got to be careful on that though. If this answer is coming from you and you don't know if it's going to be right or not, that's kind of a dicey game. So, in my opinion, you're better off if you've got an AI assistant and it gets a question it doesn't know how to answer, you're better off to have it just say that of, hey, I'm not trained on that yet. We should address that up the line and let's send you to the contact form where you can ask that question and it'll go directly to John and he'll answer it or send them to your support desk. Stuff like that. Because you don't want the thing answering the wrong way, especially when it's representing you. You got to be careful of that stuff. So, but a knowledge base, having a knowledge base in there to reference makes a big difference. Because I know Brady went back through the all the ACT training and he had it all transcribed and put it into a big jumbo PDF file. And when I go over to Perplexity to have Perplexity do stuff for me, I will use that knowledge base as a reference. I'll upload it and I'll tell Perplexity, please analyze this and come back and give me a summary. And then it'll do that, and then I know it's on the right track. If it's not, I can kind of guide it to what I want it to look at in the document specifically, because here's something about AI in general. It's kind of just like me. It's very lazy. Although you wouldn't think so because of its output is so phenomenal, but it is lazy and it will take shortcuts and it will skip things. So if you have a document that's, 100-page document and you ask it to analyze it, it might and it might not. It might just skim it. It might just pull the bullet points out and assume what's in it. So that's why I always ask it to analyze this and give me a summary back of it. So if it comes back and it's vague and I'm like, did you actually analyze the entire document? I need you to analyze the entire document because it's going to be the basis of the work that I need help with. And then it'll apologize. It'll say, oh, okay, let me do that. And it will actually go back and do it. So you have to be very specific with when you're using AI. The prompting is everything. So if you use generic, sloppy, shoddy prompts, you're going to get the same kind of feedback. You've got to really ask it specifically. And I saw something this week that I have not seen before with Perplexity, and it was frustrating. I went in there and I had a perfect string going, and it was just knocking it out of the park. And then the string was based on the ACT document, the ACT knowledge base. And then what I did was I asked it, I said, can we stay on this string and take a pause from the current subject matter and move into this? And it said, oh, yeah, no problem. We can do that. And I said, okay, I'm going to upload a new document for you that has the pertinent information for the new direction that I need assistance with. So I did that. And then I asked it for what I wanted, and it completely ignored the new document that I uploaded. It went back and it was pulling everything from the ACT program. And I'm like, no, no, no. I uploaded a document that had a specific outline. I need help with this specific outline. And I had every bullet point in there. And I said I needed a short description for each of these 20 bullet points. And it kept going back and giving me the bullet points out of the ACT document. And I got back with it. I said, do you not understand what I'm asking? I said, I really expect you to be smarter than this. When I ask for this, I'm telling you what document specifically. I'm telling you to ignore the first one and reference this one only for this particular task. And the frickin' thing did the same thing. And I just lost it. I went off. And its answer was, I'm really sorry, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do this for you. I think you should hire another agent. I've never seen that before. I've never seen it recommend that it just gives up and throws in the towel. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And it says, no, I'm really not. I don't feel I can help you. And so I opened a new string and I did not upload the first document. I only uploaded the second one, and then everything went great. So my assumption is it can't handle two knowledge bases, at least Perplexity. So if you're trying to do this, put it all in one knowledge base, and if you try and change directions, just open a new thread. It'll be a lot less frustrating for you because it just could not make that transition. Just couldn't do it. So, Kevin, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, John. 1 second.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I referred to you as that was your evil twin there.
It might be the good one. You never know.
Oh no, no, that was good. I enjoyed it, and I'm obviously new to your world, uh, but I liked it. In fact, I've never heard you curse before or cuss, but that was good. It grabbed me. Um, just to recap, so you used 11 labs to
Yeah,
clone your voice.
correct. And it took a 2 hour recording to do
Wow,
that. Yeah, it
really?
was 2 hour. They recommend you can do as little as 20 minutes,
Yeah.
but they say if you really want a good clone, you should move up to the 2 hour. You can do anything in between 20 minutes and
Okay.
2 hours, but
Okay.
since I had good voice recordings, I just pulled 2 hours worth out and sent it
Yeah.
up.
Good. Good. And you used E-ID.
A
So when
D,
I go,
D like dog,
oh, D. All
D
right.
dash ID
All
dot.
right. D-ID. Okay. I'm glad I asked that. And the D-ID, what does that do? And you also use uh, Quantum AI. That was
Yeah.
for the photo editing.
Yeah,
And
Quantum is our tool that's part of the
yeah,
ACT program.
yeah,
And Quantum has a ton of tools in there to do marketing tasks and image
yeah.
creation. And there's a particular image creator in Quantum called the precision model.
Okay.
And it's different than all the other image tools because what it's doing is you're uploading 8 images of yourself or whoever you
Sure.
want to clone, and
Yeah.
then it creates a model of that person or the product or whatever it is that you're making a model of.
Gotcha.
And then you can generate images based on the model.
Sure.
Because let's say you create an assistant. Like I created Becky, like probably
Yeah.
2 years ago, I created Becky.
Yeah.
My problem was when I would go back to get another image of her, it would change her. I just wanted her in different clothes. So,
Sure.
if she's going to represent me every day, I had to take her
Yeah.
shopping.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I didn't want her in the same clothes. And every time I asked for a different set of clothes, I got a different girl. So I realized I had to take the first image of her that I really liked,
Sure.
uploaded that as a reference image, and it
Gotcha.
was a lot better, but it still wasn't perfect.
Really.
So with the precision image model, it's pretty damn close. If you upload
Good.
eight pictures,
Sure.
it's going to be you.
Gotcha.
And you
Gotcha.
can say, whatever you want to wear and wherever you want to be. And, you can say moonlight, sunlight, direct sun, high noon.
Cool.
whatever you want. Literally, your only limitation is your imagination.
Cool. Awesome. So what is the D dash ID? What are you using that for?
So D-ID it's an avatar creator, like an animated avatar.
Yeah.
So you can upload an image of a person
Yeah.
and it will lip sync it.
I got you.
So you can either give it a written script and then pick a voice. It's got a bunch of voices to choose from, or you can
Sure.
upload your own soundtrack.
Okay.
So it doesn't have like voice cloning like 11
Yeah.
Labs does.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do a shortcut because somebody had told me they were using Hedra. And with Hedra, they were using a cartoon image of themselves. And I saw it and it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
But when I signed up, I got a Hedra account to play around with it. And I wasn't using a cartoon. I was using an actual image of myself.
Yeah.
And the it was not good. I mean, it was like the voice, it was like making me, like Brady said, it looked like I was gagging on a cotton ball when I was talking. It was like, oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh. And I'm like, yeah, we're close, but that's not how I want to be represented.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of pulled back. I went back to the drawing board and I was trying to find a better solution with Hedra, but it wasn't.
Gotcha.
So I went to 11 Labs, which they're like the gold standard in voice cloning.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive either. So it's
Sure.
pretty inexpensive to use them.
Okay.
But just like with the precision image model, once it's got your image, you can put it in any situation you want for a photo.
Yeah.
11 Labs is the same thing with your voice.
Yeah.
Once you get the clone of your voice, you can paste any script in there and it's you talking.
Perfect.
So,
Awesome.
it ideally, you could do this all with one tool, but I haven't found a single tool that's really
Yeah.
good at all of it.
Sure.
If you're just using like a cartoon image of yourself, then the Hedra is probably perfect. That will
Yeah.
probably do the trick. But if you're trying to get something realistic,
Yeah.
I would use the precision image model inside of
Sure.
Quantum and then take that to take that to D-ID for your image and then go to 11 Labs for the voice.
Okay. All right.
And I think from all the stuff I've played with so far, that has been like the best solution.
Cool. Cool. Well, I'll immediately start playing around with that. So
Yeah.
thanks for the summary. That was very helpful.
And the other thing that I've found too, when you're creating a talking head,
Yeah.
the uh the Hedra had much more body motion. The body motion was much better on Hedra, but it was really choppy.
Gotcha.
The body motion on D-ID is not very good. It doesn't have a lot of body movement, if any.
Yeah.
It does have some breathing that goes on, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably better to do like a head and shoulders shot
Sure.
instead of having too much of your body.
Gotcha.
Because if you're looking at somebody and they're talking to you for 2 or 3 minutes and their body doesn't move, it
Yeah.
starts to look a little fishy.
Sure. Sure. I
But if
agree.
you just got the head and shoulders, it is moving your head and it's moving your neck.
Yeah.
So it would come off a lot more natural.
Okay. Good
So
to know.
if you're trying to pull off a deep fake like that, you might as well do it right.
Sure. Sure. Exactly. All
And
righty.
and
Thank you.
we had in another group I'm in, we had a conversation about, like the ethics of all of this and all that. And that's one of the reasons, like when I brought out my evil twin there,
Yeah.
he introduced himself as, "Hi, this is John Limbacher," and then he paused and he said, "Well, not really.
Sure.
I'm a clone that he made in his likeness."
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not like I'm trying to fool someone.
Sure.
I'm
Gotcha.
trying to make it look like, wow, this is really cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Plus,
introduction,
plus
John.
if you screw up, you can blame it on the clone, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a
It
good
was his
point.
fault. All right. Thanks, John. Very
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. The other
John,
thing
I'm
too,
sorry.
if you're creating text for your voice, um, one thing is like if you use a text generator, if you use Chat GPT or
Yeah,
Perplexity or even the tools in Quantum, they're not initially trained to be conversational. So they won't read aloud like they read silently.
sure.
Like if you're reading a book, everything sounds kosher, but if you go to speak that aloud,
Yeah,
it can sound like a bumbling idiot.
yeah,
So you have to be careful of that. You have to make sure that if you're using AI to generate a script, make sure you go through and read it aloud and make the adjustments for how you
yeah,
actually talk.
sure.
And also, if you guys decide to try and do this and you're doing voice scripts, you have to incorporate punctuation to get the voices to do what you want. Otherwise, they'll be very monotone.
Yeah,
Like if you put in a comma, it's going to give a pause.
sure.
If you put in quotation marks around a word, it's going to give it emphasis.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of things to bring the inflections into the
Yeah,
tone.
yeah. That makes sense.
And that's something, there's a lot that I don't know about that yet. There's a
Hmm.
lot of different special characters on the keyboard that you can use that will bring those inflections in. And that's one of the things that I want to do is kind of get a better understanding of that so I can train on it better.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
think a lot of people are going to start doing this.
sure.
And if you're going to do anything, you want to do it well.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want it to come through naturally
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
robotic.
So I'm trying to blaze the trail and be the one that gets bloodied up going through the wall for you guys.
Well, you're our leader. That's great.
So that's all right. So anything else, Kevin? Or did that cover you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks again.
All right, Roger, you're up.
Okay, next, I want to have everything. So hearing about Perplexity and then, of course, ChatGPT and a couple uh, competitors for that one. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts about if you could get a suite, particularly of something like ChatGPT or ChatGPT and Perplexity.
Sure, sure.
And or do you have a thought on which one would be better, like Claude or a couple of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other
So
things?
so I started off using ChatGPT and I was very impressed with it. But then somebody told me, I think it was Perry Belcher, told me about Perplexity. So I opened up a free account on Perplexity, and I was actually even more impressed with Perplexity for business stuff.
Hmm.
Like if you're doing sales letters and marketing stuff, I found Perplexity to be higher quality. And I think it's because ChatGPT is more geared toward just everybody. It's a generic thing.
Hmm.
And I think with Perplexity, it's more geared toward business owners and marketing and those kind of things. But recently, and I have not gone back to ChatGPT. I use their APIs for stuff to pull in for some of our
Hmm.
programs, but I haven't gone back to it to use it just as what it is, a chatbot.
Hmm.
And what I've heard it's gotten a lot better in the last few months. So I can't really say if one is better than the other. You just have to try them out. You don't need to pay for them either. Like unless you're using a lot, like if you're using the thing a lot, it'll come up and it'll say, you have to have a timeout. You've used all your stuff until tomorrow. And that is what would prompt you to want to pay for the account.
Hmm.
Otherwise, just use them for free. I've been using Perplexity for free now for over a year. I've never had the need to upgrade it. So I'm using the free version of Perplexity. I know a lot of people that jumped right in and started paying for it, and their stuff is not any better than mine on the free. And it's
Mhm.
interesting, these programs, although they're so sophisticated in what they do, they're not very sophisticated in the monetization portion. They haven't got that figured out yet because as I was using Perplexity this week, I was using it a lot. And it came up and it said, you need to upgrade to the free version. You've run out of, your allotted whatever. And I thought, okay, I just kind of ignored the message that popped up. I hit okay. And then I went and I asked the chat another question and it answered just as good as it did before that message popped up. And we went on for about a half hour and then the message popped up again and I deleted it again. And I used it all day long. So they don't truly have a mechanism in there to actually regulate you and force you to pay, which, I mean, that's job number one in marketing is figure out how to get paid, do the T's, and then,
Mhm.
get paid for it. But as far as other models like Claude, uh, they all have kind of their specialty. Claude is known more of a large language model, like for large body of work. Like if you want it to analyze the encyclopedia, ChatGPT is not going to do that.
Mhm.
Claude will, though. If you upload, that whole thing, it will go through and do what you want.
Mhm.
Also, the same with output. If you ask, ChatGPT to give you, you want the description of every animal on the planet, it'll give you like three or four and it'll stop. With Claude, it will do the whole thing, whatever you're
Mhm.
asking for. It's a much larger model. So you have to just kind of look at what you want, what you're doing, what your needs are, and then kind of look to, what's going to fit the bill the best.
Yeah, I'd be doing a book, maybe 150 pages.
Yeah, if you're doing a
I'm
book,
getting smaller.
I would say Claude would probably be a better bet. Like for you, like for your book, I know that's been talked about in Craig's group. I think it's very long. You could take the long version of it and you could upload it and you could tell Claude, "Hey, I want you to analyze this book and I'd like you to help me rewrite it
Mhm.
in about half the size." And take out some of the slang, make it, read like a third grade level. That would
Mhm.
be very beneficial because, you have a lot of advanced knowledge and that can be good and that can also be a curse. And the curse
Mhm.
is in the translation to somebody like you want to spread your information, but in spreading your information, it's just like in marketing, you have to figure out who you're talking to and
Mhm.
you have to conform to speak their language.
Mhm.
So if they don't speak your sophisticated language and you're trying to communicate with them, you're just landing your message on deaf ears. So it's
Mhm.
really important to take what you know and put it into their language. And that
Mhm.
means, and that might really hurt you. You might just cringe at the thought of, oh my God, there's stuff in here that needs to get out. And it only helps if it gets out if they understand it.
Mhm.
So you have to like convert it. You have to convert it like you speak English and they speak Chinese.
Mhm.
And unless you convert it, they're not going to hear it.
Mhm.
So that would be using Claude might be the a good solution for you to upload your whole book in there and tell it, I want to rewrite this in layman's terms at a third grade language that's entertaining for someone to read. And then you could get your content consumed. And it's like, I know Larry Broughton. He's
Mhm.
got this, famous saying that he does is you have to sell them what they want, but then give them what they need. And unless you can get them to consume, you'll never be able to give them what they need, which is they need to understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
If you can't get them to read it, you can't accomplish that job. So that could
Mhm.
be very helpful for you.
Okay, got another one related to that. With for Chat GPT, the paid version is more up to date, and so you're
Yeah.
paying for that. Does Claude have any distinctions like there if
Well, I
they
think
only go to 2023, for instance, or 2021,
yeah,
like
no, I
Chat
think that was
was?
that was actually part of their marketing ploy with ChatGPT. They did that by design to get you to upgrade and pay. And that's true. That's one of the attributes. The only
Mhm.
reason that I personally paid for ChatGPT was so I could get access to the credits and the API keys and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But as far as like using it, um, I'm not using it for anything where I need like up to date,
Mhm.
information that's day by day. So that isn't something that I would have needed.
Mhm.
But if that's the case, if you're trying to write news stories and say, hey, what happened yesterday?
Mhm.
And it's only got data up to a year ago, that's not going to help you. So
Yeah.
you'd have to upgrade.
So leads to the back to the question: How does Claude go up to date, or do they have
And
a
that one
final number?
I'm not really sure on that. I haven't actually used Claude myself other than
Mhm.
just to poke around in it. So the one
Mhm.
that I mostly use is Perplexity. And I'm not even sure about Perplexity because I've never asked it that. I'm usually operating on things that are, tried and true, marketing concepts and stuff, and none of that's
Mhm.
new. It's been around for 100 years or better.
Yeah, but if you're looking for like new companies or new organizations, like NGOs that are doing something, well, some of them just appeared in the last 6 months or a year.
Well, you could figure that out pretty quickly just by asking it the question and see if it
Mhm.
knows.
Yeah.
And you could also ask it, you know, the the AIs will tell you anything you want to
Mhm.
know. You can
Mhm.
actually ask it, how up to date is your information?
Hey,
It'll tell you. And
hey,
then
Roger.
you can also
Mhm.
ask it, is can I pay for refresher data?
Mhm.
I was just going to say
Okay.
I just did this. I was just doing some research on current topics literally
Mhm.
yesterday.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about Perplexity is it gives you all the references, so you can go in there and check references. For example, I was looking at things about like economic situations, and it was giving me information from 2024. Well, all that's water under the bridge because of all this, tariff stuff. So I was looking for, so at the end of the day, I had to go to Google because the AI was, and when I tried Perplexity, I tried ChatGPT, I tried Gemini, and it was all giving me stuff that just wasn't relevant anymore. But you got to go in and check the references.
Mhm. Yeah, so you're having trouble with all of them as far as the dates on things, and
Yeah, they're just going to go out and find whatever they find because all they do is crawl around the internet anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
okay.
just they're just a little in the rears, I think, on something that happens minute by minute. But like Brian said, Google, if you want to know something that happened 2 minutes ago, go to the Google News feed.
Mhm.
That was something they actually learned during 9/11 when people were trying to find out information in 9/11, Google wasn't up to date. It was taking them too long to spider and index the information,
Mhm.
and they made a major correction to their algorithm because of that. Because what happened was when people couldn't find it in Google, they went to other sources, and Google actually lost a percentage of its traffic that day. And they
Mhm.
don't like that because that's their revenue. So they were under the gun to fix that right quick.
Mhm.
So I don't think you'll find anything that is, probably better and more up to date than the Google News feeds because
Mhm.
they're all over it.
Well, and I would think, and I haven't tried this, John, your thoughts on this or anyone else, but Gemini is a thing now. So, Gemini is Google's thing. So I would think that if you're looking for really up-to-date information, Gemini might actually be the place to go because it plugs directly into Google.
Yeah, but it's still got to update and learn. So,
Hmm.
I'm sure at some point all this stuff is getting better every day. So it's just there's a lot of it that still leaves a little bit to be desired.
Hmm.
And I think, we're probably still years away from, all of the bugs getting ironed out of it. But but for what it is, I mean, it has given me a monster advantage just in the last
Hmm.
year. I mean, an incredible advantage. I always talk about it's like a magic wand. And like I can coronate you with superpowers. So I'm like
Hmm.
literally like a wizard. With quantum, I've got my magic wand and I'm coronating people saying, you are a web developer now. You are a graphic artist. You are a copywriter. And it's incredible to have those skills. You're a video producer.
Hmm.
All of those things available now that they weren't available 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, if I needed a graphic, I'd either have to go to a stock agency and spend hours hunting through images to find nothing, and then I'd go on to Fiverr and I'd spend money to get something that wasn't what I asked for and go back and forth. And now I can go into Quantum and open up the Act Imager and I can have like a plethora of beautiful images at my fingertips in a matter of minutes. So it's like I just crowned myself. Now I'm a graphic artist. I can develop images, or if I need a short promo video, I could go to the Video Genesis tool inside Quantum, and in under 5 minutes, I can have a promotional video. And I don't even have to write a script. I just give it the URL of my site. It literally goes and reads the site, figures out what it's all
Hmm.
about, writes a promotional script, creates the images, does the storyboarding, does the voiceover, pulls the images and videos in, does the subtitles, and spits out a video ready for me to post into social media in minutes. It's like that's pretty freaking cool. And that just wasn't available a couple of years ago. If I wanted that promotional video a couple of years ago, I'd probably have to write the script myself. I'd have to find a video editor. He's going to charge me at least a few $100, and it's going to take 3 weeks going back and forth with a lot of frustration. That's what
Hmm.
that was like just a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it's a different world we live in today. And, this I've been saying this for the last year. This is a phenomenal time to be alive. I mean, we should all be very, very thankful that we are alive at this moment in time. Because, I mean, I know a lot of people in my past that are no longer with us that missed out on this. This is like, probably the coolest stuff I've ever had to play with of anything. And all those missed out on it.
Hmm.
And eventually, we won't be around and there's going to be some really cool shit that comes after us and we're going to miss out on it.
Hmm.
But but right now, I'm just thankful to be alive right now because this
Hmm.
stuff's really, really cool.
Yeah. As Columbo would say, I got one more thing, which
Okay.
you were talking about images, and it seemed like it used to be you could, yeah, click on, I forget which key it was, and it would pop up and say, this is, uh, open commons, available as long as you give credit, or it would say, Getty or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now you click on those things and you see just code, and somewhere in the pages and pages of code, there might be a connection. But it's like, hey, I'd like to find out to see if it's available. If worst comes to worst, I'll offer to pay them, but I got to find the person to pay
Sure,
them.
sure.
There's something for that.
Yeah, at this point, there's no need for any of that anymore. Because with image generation tools, you can literally just tell it what you want. It'll create the image for you and it's yours. It's royalty free.
Hmm.
You don't have to ask permission to use it on your website or in your marketing or anything.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's a
But
little bit cartoonish, but it's absolutely free. So,
well, it
and they're getting better.
depends. They don't have to be cartoonish.
Hmm.
Like our Act Imager, it's made to be photorealistic.
Hmm.
And you can actually put in there, I want a real life photo of, Niagara Falls with, a cougar jumping across it or whatever. And, that's going to be a little unrealistic, but you get the idea. It's whatever
Hmm.
you prompt it to do. And
Okay.
some of the other tools that we have, like we have the one to make hero images. And in the hero image, you actually choose what type of image you want. If you want a photo quality or an illustration or a
Hmm.
cartoon or, if you want futuristic, and you can literally dictate out how you want the image to be.
Can you dictate the resolution, like high res or?
It always gives you a high resolution, but you can say what format. Like if you want a vertical or a horizontal and the framing,
Hmm.
you can choose that. But what I've found is all the images that are coming out are pretty good. They're pretty high resolution.
Hmm. Good. Yeah, because speaking of Larry Bratton, he and Craig were saying, no, no, you got to have a photographer to go out and take a picture of this house and so on to get sufficient resolution. Like,
No, no, not anymore. I mean, you can get
mhm.
really good resolution out of AI.
Okay, good, good.
So I mean, it's good stuff. Like if you need ultra high resolution, yeah, they're going to be right. You might need to go get a photographer for that. But there's very little need for that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to be a photographer long, long ago, and I actually did that. I would go take those high quality images, but you know, that was back in the 80s. Like 85 to 95 was my photo career, and it was commercial. So I did the high end stuff. And at about 95 is when Photoshop came into play, and it completely ended that whole career for me. That was what drove me into the digital space and to creating websites and, getting into this whole arena that I'm in now. And once that happened, there was very little call for those ultra high resolution images anymore.
Mhm.
I mean,
Okay.
even a lot of the print stuff is even going away. And even if you look at a billboard nowadays, the dots are enormous. If you get up close to a billboard, the resolution's not high like it used to. I mean, you got dots like the size of your fist.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Gesundheit. Okay, great. Thanks.
yeah, yeah. All right, Ian, how's it going?
Yeah, hi John. Good to be back in the saddle. Seeing you just driving from the front
I'm still at it after all these years.
there. I've just been through the stuff today, so I logged on for this week for the first few times, and I'm just really looking. I've just got some questions. Some of them may be a little bit basic, but I'll rattle them off the same. You mentioned in the training acquisition air. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And is that how do I access that? Is it a separate program? Is it?
Yeah, that's a separate program. It's basically it's an AI type lead generation tool.
Yeah.
What we've found about it is it'll generate leads in two different ways. One of them is searching the internet and secondary search boxes to find people that are looking for things. which is really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool technology. But what we found was it's very hard to convert them. We can give
Okay.
you their email address and tell you who they are, but the whole trust layer of trying to reach out with a cold email to people, it's been a really, really tough game.
Okay.
So the guys that are they're doing it successfully, we have two types that are really using it very successfully. One type is the ones that are really, really good at cold email. They can get it to work. But like me, I suck at cold email, so it does not work at all for me. I mean, I must have bought several thousand leads and I couldn't get one to respond to me. So I just realized, hey, that is not my game. That's not my superpower. So I'll leave that to who it works for. But the other guys that are getting really good results out of it, they're taking the leads not to try and communicate with them directly. They're taking the leads to build a lookalike audience for generating social media traffic. And those tend to convert really well. So, like figuring out the person wants, Crest toothpaste and then showing up on Facebook with a Crest toothpaste ad with a discount coupon. That works really well. But trying to
Okay.
send that person an email that says, "Hey, I'm selling Crest toothpaste," they're like, "Well, who the hell are you? Get out of my email box," and they're pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
So
a
it's really, yeah, so you need to approach them. That's really, yeah, send a free report or something like that, or something
yeah.
that's going to be
Even
relevant.
trying to do that on a cold email, they just don't trust you. They won't look at your free report.
Okay.
They won't even open your email unless you're just absolutely spectacular at subject lines.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's been a really tough conversion method. But we have another company that we partnered with that can take this data and use like a multi-channel approach to start showing up in front of them in different modalities. And, again, it's not for the person just starting out with no budget. But if you've got a client or something that's got a good ad budget and they really want to kick butt, we could set you up and, put you together with the right pieces to make that happen.
Okay. So yeah, next question is there a separate login for the quantum tools?
Yes. When you signed up, you should have got another email with the quantum login. If you didn't, just shoot me an email and I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I sent you an email today a bit earlier, so I
Oh,
think you've got
okay.
3 o'clock your time, I think. So it's AM, so I won't expect you to respond to that.
Okay. Well, once I get in there and see that, I'll send you the login for it.
Okay.
But yeah, you
And
should have
then
got that in a separate email. It might have gone into your spam or something.
I didn't see. I did get two emails, one for act, one for quantum, the overall thing, but I couldn't find one separately for the tools login. So I don't know, just send it over.
Okay. Yeah, I'll shoot it over to you.
Um, Website creation, which sounds almost a little bit old hat now, really. What do you do for creating websites now?
Oh, well, I have a full web development team. I'm not doing it myself anymore. I haven't done any of that for, man, probably a couple of decades.
Yeah,
But but I have a team in place and they can pretty much knock out anything you want.
right. Okay.
Typically, like what I recommend for most people that are getting started and all that, I usually recommend just, a simple WordPress site with Beaver Builder that's easy for them to edit themselves and all that. But, like you and I go back into the commercial space where we're doing this for companies. And, there's a lot of companies that are working on other platforms that are not WordPress and they have no interest in WordPress. So my team is fully capable of doing full development in PHP, ASP, whatever they want it built in. They can do that.
Well,
I
there's
just,
more things.
I just step the hell out of the way for those projects and let them battle it out.
I was thinking more because of, as I say, I'm looking to set up a training business, and would you direct them to if you're using the AI tools, the quantum tools to direct traffic, would you send them to a sales page or would you send them to a website?
Whenever you're sending traffic to something, I personally think sending traffic, especially cold traffic, to a sales page is a bad idea because it's a buy or die scenario.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so what I would prefer to do is to send them to a free offer page that enrolls them in a sequence to warm them up before you make the offer. Like a perfect example of this is I might give away a free PDF on the top three things for SEO to get you fast action. You know, how to rank quick in 3 easy steps. And then once they download that, they opt in, it goes to the thank you page. And on the thank you page, here's the download link for the free gift. And I do like the Frank Kern mode there, which you're already cool by giving them something free that's very useful that they want. But then he talked about stacking the cool. Like it's one thing to be cool, but then you can stack the cool. So I stack the cool by giving them another free thing after they've opted in and inviting them to a free webinar. Like, hey, you
Okay.
know, this will help you, but if you want to come this webinar we did last week, I've got a replay link here. Happy to give it to you. And the webinar basically is showing them how to use a paid tool that we offer and how to get even better results faster and automated. And then at the end of the video, it makes them an offer.
Okay.
And then the sequence, the offer that it makes them at the end of the video is good for 72 hours. And then the email sequence keeps reminding them if they didn't purchase, it keeps reminding them the 72 hours is shrinking. So they get 3 emails over 72 hours. And then after the offer expires, they get another email that says, "Oh, sorry, you missed it." So we completely take that offer away. And then we make them another offer that's not quite as good for the next 24 hours. And it's amazing how many people will take the offer on the last hour.
Yeah.
It's also amazing how many will come in the next day and buy it for a lesser deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the more
Okay.
communication that you can make along your sales path, the more you're going to convert. There's just no doubt about it. And
Okay.
the key is starting that communication. So if you send them to a sales page and they just go and leave, you've lost the game.
Yeah.
Your conversion ratio is going to be so low, it's going to be painful.
Yeah. Okay. Straight to an offer page then. That's really clarified. Frankenstein stents.
Franken AI?
Franken AI. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Franken AI is a perfect example of a free giveaway lead magnet that I created basically to generate leads for me. The program itself is a light version of a more robust version that you can purchase. So if it's fully functional, but it's very limited in what it will do, it's still a cool program to post to social media. So it'll create content and auto post it to your social media if you need that, which a lot of people think they need, you know, social media posts going out all the time. The reality is they need a real marketing plan. So
Hmm.
my idea, which I haven't even implemented yet, I've just been generating the leads and I haven't been following up with them. So another chalk up to my laziness. But I got a whole bucket of leads now for people that downloaded that software. And what I know about them is they think they need social media.
Yeah.
I could reach out to them with the headline like, you know, social media probably didn't work for you. Here's why. And then I can bring them into the fold, give them something free, and then start educating them on the fact that your social media is not going to work unless it's attached to a marketing plan.
Fine. Yeah. An offer of some description, taking them somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then I can sell them into the ACT program where they can learn how to put together a proper marketing procedure, marketing protocol.
Yeah, okay. And then yeah, so and then the SEO tools in there, there's some sort of SEO type tools looking for keywords and things in the suite as well, yeah.
Yeah, yep. There's some basic stuff in there for SEO. And then you probably haven't seen it yet, but we're about to re-release Rainmaker.
All right, okay.
And I think you were around in the days when
I was.
Rainmaker first
Yeah,
came.
first launch of that, yeah.
So the new Rainmaker now is going to have AI.
Okay.
So it's not just doing Google anymore. It's going to actually do the three large language models that feed OpenAI and Gemini and basically all of them. So we're going to use the new Rainmaker to train that because a lot of people now are going to chat instead of going to Google.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done
Asking
it myself.
like I do it all the time. I was looking for a reverse osmosis machine the other day, and I go to Google first out of habit, and it gave me a bunch of crap results. And then I opened Perplexity and I said, "Tell me about reverse osmosis for a home." And it gave me like manufacturers, models, the differences. It told me exactly what I wanted. And then I said, okay, this one sounds like the right one. Where's the cheapest place to get it?
Yeah,
Boom. It's like,
yeah,
who
yeah,
needs Google when you've got that?
yeah. Very good. No, it's excellent.
So the Rainmaker is going in there and convincing it that you're the one that it should recommend, which is pretty cool.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great, John. Thank you. Yeah, good to see you again. And yeah, I've got to. We're 8:15 here, so it's my dinner time. So I've been
Okay.
summoned.
Well, it
But
was
good to
great,
see
great to
you.
see you again.
Yeah, and then yeah, I'll see you next week. Yeah, thank you. See you
All
guys.
right. Sounds good. All right, Randy, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, John, just a real quick question. You know how we changed the weather, the the website header?
Yes, uh-huh.
So I was looking on my mobile side and it wasn't changing size. Is that something we can talk about offline and maybe get
Oh
that
yeah,
fixed?
yeah. Yeah, you can shoot me an email.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
have the programmers go in and fix the mobile version of it for you.
All right. Anyhow, I love that website header. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Sounds like a winner. All right. Anybody else? Any other stuff? Gregory, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm I listened in on a marketing webinar, and one of the things that came up, which is I want to circle back to your avatar earlier, where you say, "Hi, this is John Limbacher." Well, it's not really me. I'm out of my boat. That is actually golden. Here's why. In the marketing seminar that I went to and listened on, it's how when you're marketing to generations, each generation has a different POV. The older generation, because of being scammed, and if they see something that looks phony, like let's say the avatar comes up and you don't say that, then they get the feeling like, oh, well, this is just not really John. This is like one of his things, and then it's a turn off. But then the younger generation is used to it. They're used to the idea that it's going to be a video of somebody for marketing. So I just wanted to circle back and comment on that hiccup where you say, no, it's not really me, it's my avatar. I'm out of my boat, and then that's the other hook says, oh, this guy is on screen talking about something, and yet he's not there because he's enjoying his free time. So I just wanted to comment that actually is very when I saw your video last week, and then I went to the webinar. I said, "Oh my God, what John did there was absolutely perfect to fit what the of the seminar opening up on well, generational marketing is what it was. Like you have to know how to speak the right language and approach to each generation, and that was just like a good example of what you did there. That's all I wanted to comment.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of an extra arm of what Frank Kern used to do. He used to portray himself as what his avatar wanted to be, so they would gravitate towards him. So with me, that's freedom. And I got to tell you, almost all business owners or entrepreneurs, they're not doing that just for the hell of it. They're doing it because they crave that freedom. So if I come across as that freedom in the flesh, that's what they're going to want. That's what they're going to gravitate toward. So they're much more likely to follow me, to listen to me, to follow my instruction because I've already done it. I'm already where they want to be. And that's what Frank was really, really good at. He would actually change his persona depending on his audience. He went through a lot of different phases in his marketing career. Like when he first started out with Mass Control, he actually turned into a surfer. He never surfed before. He moved to La Jolla, bought a surfboard, learned to surf so he could do surfing videos. Because what he realized was his avatar was like a banker at a desk job. And all they dreamed about was the freedom of like being, out paddling around in the waves. That was what they thought they wanted. So he became that so he could attract them. And then when he kind of grew up a little bit and realized that, there's more money in the corporate world, he got really polished. He went back to the multi-thousand-dollar suits and the fancy shoes and all that stuff. He basically is like a chameleon. He conforms to whatever the market is so he can draw them in. And, with me, I've never been a chameleon. I'm who I am. There's nothing or nobody going to change that. And for me, that draws me the right people that want that. And a lot of them, they'll come, they'll get what they need. They become very successful. And unfortunately, we don't see them back here on the calls until they need something. But like Ian. Ian's a perfect example. I haven't talked to him in over a decade. He reached back out to me. He says, "Hey, I know the world has changed and I need to get back in step with it." So he goes, "I want to hop back into your program." He knew right where to come back to get right back in the fold. But he's been very successful. Over a decade, he's been making money out of what I taught him. So, that's just me. He said, "Hey, you're the same guy you were 10 years ago." Nothing has changed. I've been this way since I was a teenager. So, I'm just not willing to, do all that hocus pocus crap like Frank Kern is and try and fool everybody. I am just very transparent. If you either like me or you don't, I'm okay with that. So so anyway, Russ, go ahead.
I like you, John.
I know you do.
So you were talking about duplicating images when you first created your Becky through your quantum program. How did you lock in that image so you could say, okay, here's Becky, just go and change Becky's clothes?
Well, the first Becky, I didn't have quantum. It was long before I had quantum. I used Midjourney, and I had a lot of trouble with it because every time I'd ask for new clothes, I'd get the different girl. It wasn't until I figured out I could reference an external image. So what I did was I took the image of her that I liked and I published it to my web page, and then I got the URL of the image. And then in the prompt, I said, I'd like to use this as the base image. I want to use the same girl, but I want to change her top to, a tank top or a business blouse or whatever. And then it did pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it did pretty good doing it that way.
So which program were you using to change the clothes? Was that Quantum AI?
No, no, that was again, that was back in that day. That was I was using Midjourney for
Oh,
that.
that was still Midjourney. Okay.
Yeah, that was how I figured out how to do that was by referencing an external image. And then, quite honestly, I hadn't done it again, and people started asking for that. And that's when our developers developed the precision image model. And you just upload 8 different images of whatever person or whatever product or whatever, and it will create that precision image model for you. So then you can change it all you want. It's really cool.
So in today's world, you use your quantum AI and you create your Becky. How do you then take Becky and put her with different clothes on
So you would create a precision model of her.
of Becky?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so you're
And if
doing
you didn't have, let's say you didn't have 8 images, let's say you got lucky and you got like the perfect image, the perfect person, whether it's a man or a woman or whatever, and you wanted that one. I haven't done this, but I think you could take the same image and just upload it 8 times into the image model and have it create an image of that, have it create a model of that image.
okay.
I'm pretty sure you could do that. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm pretty sure you could do that. Because once you get that model, you can really do all the changes you want, and they come out really, really good.
And that changes are in the image
Yes.
precision image model you called it.
Yeah, and here's another thing. It's called precision image model, but here's another thing. You can alter the person's image when the model is generated. And I actually did this for mine because I'm on, a lot of you that have been following me, I'm on this weight loss thing with the carnivore diet. And my body is literally changing right before my eyes. I'm turning into the man I used to be. So what I wanted, since I'm creating these images, I don't want the images to be out of date 6 months from now and go, well, yeah, who's that fatty? So what I did was I took the images of my face, all the way around that were close-ups, and then I uploaded a picture of me when I was 20 for the body image. And I uploaded a couple of other pictures that were me, but from different time frames that it picked up on the body. And when it created the model, it gave me the body I wanted. Because it only had the reference of my face current, but then it had the reference of my body from the past.
Uh-huh. That's how you look so stealth.
Yeah, so that's how I pulled that off.
Okay, gotcha.
And you can get really, really creative with this stuff. And like I said, the only limitation is your imagination. It's like with me, I get ideas all the time, and there's nothing like if there's something I really want to do, there's nothing going to stand in my way of figuring out how to make it happen.
Right. Have you tried you tried the Hedra, then you tried the DI dash DI. Have you ever tried Heijen?
I have not actually tried HeyGen yet.
I would say try Heijen. You would be surprised. That's really,
Really?
really good.
Yeah, that's next up on my list, actually.
I'll send you a link to some good stuff on Heijen. It might help you out.
Yeah, yeah. Some of Perry's people have been using that too, and I've seen some samples of it. But I figured I already had a D-ID account from the past. So I got the voice. I was pretty happy. Did you guys think the voice was pretty close?
Voice was good. Yeah, voice was good.
Yeah. So
Except for your mouse stopped talking when you were talking a couple times, like Brady said, but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's a
That
little
that's in the
difficult.
lip sync. That's in the D-ID.
Yeah.
So maybe if I take the 11 Labs voice over to HeyGen, maybe we might have it.
Yeah. I would give it a try.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, definitely. That's definitely on the platter.
really good. So, other question, I'm trying to get some updates on the AIO Dominator and Rainmaker. Any new highlights you want to talk about?
I think I talked about this last week, or maybe not. Did I give you the update where Chris found that he had gone against what I told him to do and kind of screwed things up a little bit?
No, you forgot to tell us that.
Yeah, so I think that was after last week's call. But anyway, I told him, I said, look, we built this network with 10,000 devices in it all over the world for a reason.
Right.
The reason was so we could look natural and not get caught. And he was telling me that the AI doesn't have all that, all those safeguards and stuff in place like Google had. And I said, yeah, well, let's not give them a reason to. And he was sending all the different requests out off of a single server. Like, I told him that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And apparently, as he was doing that, as he got, several thousand of these things going out all from the same place, it responded back to him and it says, it appears you're trying to figure out how to manipulate our results.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's not get on that radar. Let's do it like I told you to. And so he was trying to do a shortcut and save a bunch on the programming, which, I can appreciate that, but not at the cost of, flushing the whole thing down the garbage.
Right. Okay.
So that is in play right now. He's doing the adjustments he needs to do to safeguard it. And I think we're probably still looking at an early June launch on it. Because I know next month and here in a couple weeks, I'm headed for Europe, and I won't get back until the end of May. And then I'm hoping to do uh, a soft launch on the Rainmaker at that point. I think we'll be ready to go by then.
At the beginning of June.
Yeah. I'm probably also going to do a reactivation campaign out to the existing site pop users and let them in first.
Right.
So, because the program is actually up and running. Like anybody that has site pop right now has access to Rainmaker. They might just not know it yet. But if you go into your site pop account right now and you click the button to add a campaign, it's going to ask you if you want Google, if you want YouTube, or if you want AI.
Okay.
And you can actually create an AI campaign right now from within the control panel. So there's just not very many people that have been told that they could do that. Some people have been discovering it on the way, and they're starting to use it, which is good for us
Hmm.
because they're using their own devices and their own APIs and all that, which is the key. So
So, so to get my business found on ChatGPT, we're using the Rainmaker. What about the AIO Dominators? Does that play
yes,
into that?
so the way that Rainmaker is set to work is it's going to ask the questions, of who's the best whatever, and then it's going to seed them with you if you're not the one that comes up. And then if it doesn't come back with the conclusion that, oh yeah, you're right, that is the one I should have recommended. If it doesn't come back with that, then we ask the question of what would we have to do to get up to the status where we would be the one that you would recommend.
Mhm.
And it's going to be asking those questions from multiple different places around the globe all month long. And at the end of the month, it's going to compile that into a report and let you know what adjustments you need to make for the next month. And then from those adjustments, you can go into the AIO Dominator tool and you can generate the changes in there. You can generate content if you need Q&As, if you need sitemaps, if you need an LLM file. All the tools will be in there to generate all that on-page stuff that has to do with optimizing for AI. What I would recommend personally is that you do at least some of that stuff first. You go through the AIO Dominator and you implement as much as you can right out of the gate before you start going in and using the Rainmaker tool because you'll already have it seeded. Like if the AI isn't aware of your product yet or your URL, and all of a sudden we send it there and it sees all the optimization and it's like, oh yeah, this is better, then we've effectively convinced it. We've changed its mind, which is, that's what we're shooting for.
That's the ultimate goal, right? Yeah.
And then when other people ask and they get the right thing, they're just going to thank it and it's going to think it did a good job.
Right.
So that's the whole goal of it. But to do it naturally, just like we've always done with SEO, that's the key is, it's back to my cloud cover methodology, and some of you, that don't have any idea about SEO or haven't been with me for that long, I came out with a methodology for SEO that I called cloud cover. And it was likened to air combat in World War II. And I said, the fighter pilots in World War II that learned to fly in the clouds, they were the ones that came home at the end of the mission. The ones that flew in clear blue sky got shot down. I said, so in SEO, everything you do needs to be under the clouds. You need to be hiding in the clouds so you can't be seen, which is the epitome of black hat. Black hat is undetectable by its very nature. And in SEO, they always gave black hat a bad name. They said, "Oh yeah, if you're doing black hat, you're going to get caught. You're going to," and I'm like, "No, you're not." Because true black hat is undetectable. It's cloud cover. You're flying in the clouds. They can't see you. They never even knew you were there. It's like the thief in the night concept. You came, you took, you left, and they don't even know what happened. And that's how I operated SEO for all those years. I never got caught. I never had a customer banned, ever. I don't know anyone else in that industry that can say that. It was because of that cloud cover methodology. So I told Chris, I'm like, we have to maintain that same level of integrity in AI if we're going to try and manipulate it.
Yeah.
Because, don't think for a second that it's not as smart as Google was. That is a terrible mistake.
Is there any training available yet for any of the applications in the AI Dominator?
The only training that exists in there is rattling around between my ears. Unfortunately. So that's actually going to be part of the launch. I'm going to roll it out just like I've done everything else in the past. It's going to get built on the fly as we roll out.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Which, me, that's the least amount of effort on my part to do it that way. So that's the way I'm going to do it.
Buy it, then I'll build it.
That's exactly right.
But I did buy it.
I'll never build an empty house.
All righty.
Oh man. No, you're right. You are in and you're first in line to get the goods.
All righty.
And also you're one of the only ones that will retain the discount too. Everyone else coming in is going to be paying a lot more for that.
Well, that's good.
So
Well, I'll start trying figuring some of this stuff out. I see you're creating files. I just don't know exactly where the files need to go. That's the trick of it.
yeah, most of the tools the output will have instructions in it. And in some cases, if it's giving you content, like let's say it gives you a Q&A file, you just need to build a page on your site for the Q&A of that subject matter and put that in as content of the page. That's pretty much all that needs to be done.
Okay.
Now, you also want to make sure that that page has the right title tags and keywords associated, and also the schema. There's a schema generator in there. You could generate schema code for each individual page. So the tools are all there. like schema code gets pasted into the head tag of the HTML of the page. So if
Okay,
you
it
if
says JSON copy code here. Okay.
yeah, so that stuff gets pasted into that HTML in your page. If you're in Shopify, I don't really know how to get to the access where you plug that stuff in.
Okay.
I know in WordPress, there's a lot of SEO plugins that you can use that gives you direct access to plug in codes and stuff like that to update them.
I'll look into that. So what's the specific question? Where to enter in schema code?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're looking at Shopify, it's just say, how do I add schema code to my pages?
Okay, got it. I'll do that.
I'm sure they'll allow you to do it because
Yeah.
they've got to give you access to that, at some point.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, buddy.
All right, you got it. All right. Anything else for this week? Anybody got any more questions or I know we covered some broad strokes, different we went everything from photography to SEO to web development and AI. We covered it all.
Thank you, John. When do you leave?
I leave on the 11th. So Brady's sharpening up his skills to take a couple of these calls for you guys again.
He did a great job last time. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, everybody gave him great reviews, so that's really cool. That gives me peace of mind. I know I can go flake off for a couple of weeks and not have the tires come off the car. So maybe one of these days he'll take over the whole thing.
Easy now. You got a lot to do before then.
Them some big shoes to fill. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just a little bit. I can't even help Russ with AIO. I'm
You'll
trying
get
to get
there.
it put his head on paper, Russ. I'm trying, man.
I know. It's a
I
tough.
have demo videos that I could do, but they're just going to tell you what you probably already know. So I'm still learning myself.
I
Quantum, I'm good to go. Quantum, I can be fairly dangerous with now, but AIO is still a little fuzzy for me.
I feel
I
your
gotta,
pain. It's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, there's a lot in the whole AIO space that I'm still getting my head wrapped around and really learning on it and all that. So, but I'll tell you where most of my knowledge base came from is Perplexity.
Uh,
I went into Perplexity and had like a half a day conversation with it. And I mean, the amount of data and knowledge I got in that half a day was like a 10-year knowledge base of what I learned in SEO, but it took me 10 years to do it. So the time compression is, using AI is just incredible.
it's
The
just being the right questions to ask.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I was able to get to the root of it and figure out what tools would be beneficial and what they needed to do and how they needed to operate to create the tools inside the Dominator suite. That was an amazing day that I spent with it.
Hey, here's a thought. I can ask Perplexity how to add the schema code to Shopify.
Yeah, actually, you probably could. You absolutely probably could.
Okay.
I swear I don't think a day goes by when I don't ask Perplexity some, weird stuff.
Yep. All righty.
So, all right. Well, if that's it, we will go ahead and wrap her up for this week. Thank you all for being on here and asking good questions. So,
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
all right.
All
We'll
ashore,
see you
Captain.
guys next week.
All ashore that's
Yeah.
going ashore. Thank you, John.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.